And if everyone would please mute your microphones until you wish to speak or to vote. And I will now call the roll. Steve Clevenger.
Present.
Gary Schroeder.
Present.
Michelle Dennis.
Present.
Ed Butts.
Present.
Tom Andrew.
Present.
Frank Donaldson.
Present.
Jen Decker.
Present.
Thank you very much. That is a full slate. We have a quorum.
Thank you. And I will take the motion for the approval of the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes from the January 27th, 2021 BZA public hearing.
I second.
The motion and a second. Any comments or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
That motion passes. New business, Ryan.
Yes, well, we have two continuances, as you see on the agenda. And let's see, looks like social media is up and running on both platforms. So the single case to be heard tonight, BZA 2047, is ready to go.
Thank you, Ryan. And I will take the public hearing motion, please.
I move that there be incorporated into the public hearing portion of each application be heard this evening and to become part of the evidence at such hearing, the Unified Zoning Ordinance, the Unified Subdivision Ordinance, the Comprehensive Plan, the bylaws of the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, the application and all documents filed therewith, the staff report and recommendations on the application be heard this evening, and responses from the checkpoint agencies.
I second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 That motion carries. I would like to briefly describe our procedures for this evening. And Ryan, I'm not sure who's in the Tippecanoe room, but is there anyone?
There's currently no member of the public here.
No member of the public. Okay, thank you. Each
Correct.
case will be heard following a motion and a second from the board. We'll ask the staff to report on its findings. Following the staff report, we will ask the petitioner to present his or her case, after which anyone wishing to support the petitioner's request for a variance or special exception will be asked to come forward. After hearing from the petitioner and those speaking on his or her behalf, we will ask those speaking against the petition to present their arguments. The petitioner will then be allowed to rebut arguments raised by those in opposition to his or her petition. Following the rebuttal, the board may wish to ask questions of the petitioner, supporters, and opponents of the petition or of the staff. The staff will have the opportunity at this time to make any necessary clarifying comments. We will then vote by use of a prescribed ballot. 4 votes are necessary to make any decision. In absence of 4 votes, either for or against, the petition is automatically continued to the next meeting. We will also have a minute for response from the social media platforms in case any member of the public has comments that they would like to make using that platform. Please observe the following guidelines for the sake of time and fairness to all. State your name and address for the record before you speak. Limit your remarks to 5 minutes or less. Do not repeat arguments that have been brought up by others. Remember that all visual aids used to support your arguments will remain the property of the board. Cell phones must be turned off while the meeting is in session. Please step out of the room or mute yourself before using your cell phone. With that in mind, I will hear the continuances.
I move to continue BZA 2049 Purdue Christian Campus House and BZA 2050 Tippecanoe County Conservation Club Incorporated to the March 24th, 2021 BZA meeting.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 That motion carries. If anyone is listening and is here for BZA 2049 Purdue Christian Campus House or BZA 2050 Tippecanoe County Conservation Club, Inc., those will be heard next month on March 24th at 6 o'clock. With that in mind, I will take our first and only case.
I move to hear and vote on BZA 2047 Design Team Sign Company LLC. Petitioner is requesting a variance to allow a 65.6 square foot of fascia signage for a business in an integrated center instead of the maximum allowed 40 square feet for McAllister's Deli in a GB zone. The property is located at 527 Sagamore Parkway West, Suite 101, West Lafayette, Wabash 7 Southeast, 23-4 UZO 4-8-7, continued from the January meeting at petitioner's request.
I second.
We have a motion and a second, and we'll ask staff to present the report, please. Ryan?
Okay, thank you. Can everyone hear me and see me? Because I just, the audio that I'm listening to from you all is suddenly very, very low. So I'm not sure what's going on. My Wi-Fi is working, but as long as you can see and hear me, I'll carry on. So, okay, we're in the city of West Lafayette. This is off of Sagamore Parkway, between the intersections of Salisbury and Nighthawk. On the south side of the roadway, as you can see, the site is zoned general business. You can advance to the next slide, please. And there we go. And as you can see, it's a very commercial area. The building that is there is the former MCL cafeteria. It was has been converted into a 4-tenant building, and then the McAllister's restaurant is going to be occupying one of the sites, roughly 4,000 square feet in size. City utilities, of course, are available. In terms of zoning history and BZA activity, it's been relatively quiet. There has been redevelopment within the existing zones that has gone on. In terms of the kind of the larger rezoning efforts, probably the Payless across the street that was done a few years ago in its redevelopment. That was one of the more recent rezoning actions in this area. In terms of BZA actions, in 2018, there was a case for the Hot Box Pizza restaurant at 307 Sagamore Parkway West for a setback variance, nothing to do with signage. And then sign variances were requested way back in 2003 for the Marsh grocery store, which is where the Fresh Time Market currently is. Those sign variances were denied back then. Being one of 4 tenants, there is an effort to probably come back with a integrated center sign. That's not part of this package. That's certainly something that this would qualify for. And so bottom line is this former single unit building now being divided into 4 units does qualify for that integrated center definition, which does guarantee a minimum of 40 square foot of fascia signage for each tenant, which comes to 5 square feet per 1,000 square feet of floor area. That's 5 square foot of signage, with the minimum of 40 square feet and a maximum of 400 for the whole lot. Again, McAllister's occupies around 4,000 square feet. So in this instance, given the formula, the 40 square foot minimum would apply. They are on a corner. They're in the, I guess it would be the eastern corner of the building. And so they are proposing a fascia sign for both the north and east sides of the building for their business. In this situation, typically 2 20 square foot signs would be utilized to capture that 40, that magic number. But this petition is requesting a variance to allow 2 32.8 square foot signs totaling 65.6 square feet. And you've been looking at the elevations here of the building. People have been by the site. It's already the exterior is pretty much ready to go. And yeah, there's a nice picture there. Thank you. The submitted plans for the restaurant show, of course, the facade signs that you just saw, and then it also includes green awnings and a green LED lit trim for the building. Obviously, this is sort of a daytime shot, so you didn't get to see that, but they plan on illuminating this this corner for the restaurant's use in terms of its exterior decorations. I guess focal point for the project and its architecture. There's also a canopy shown on the front and side of the restaurant, as you can see here. The building is set back the minimum distance from Sagamore Parkway, which is 60 foot. Visibility from the roadway is largely unobstructed. In fact, this site's a little bit more elevated from the roadway, not by a huge amount, but it's certainly kind of looking down onto the roadway from where it is. And apart from the parking area and the drive area surrounding the building, there are no obstructions visible from the roadway. Again, the integrated center sign is sort of in concept mode right now. It's something that they certainly would qualify for, but again, that's not part of this petition. However, given the visibility of the corner of this building, as you can see from the photographs, and the possible inclusion of a future integrated sign, which would of course expand their signage footprint lawfully without any issues for need for variances. And given the custom lighting and the exterior architecture, staff can really find no hardship with regard to the site or anything unusual about the site to justify an increase in signage. So in terms of the ballot items, the APC in its January 27th meeting determined the variance requested is not a use variance. And it's staff's opinion that granting the variance will not be injurious to the public health, safety, or general welfare. Increased face of signage would really have no negative impact on the traveling public or even pedestrians moving around. There's actually some sort of pedestrian scale window signage that's sort of not counted. That's part of this package as well, and that's not subject to any need for a variance. There, you can see them there. The terms of the zoning ordinance are being applied to a situation that is common to other properties in the same zoning districts. Certainly in the GB zone here, all the other businesses along Sagamore Parkway have to abide by this and have done so without the need for variances. There is nothing particularly unusual with this property in terms of its shape, its size, or just the topography of the land. Again, this actually kind of sits up. This side of the roadway sits up a little bit from Sagamore Parkway. Both sides kind of do, but this would be a different scenario if, say, this was kind of in a downward sloping area and visibility is a little harder. You could make a topography argument there quite easily. That just doesn't exist on this site. Strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will not result in an unusual or unnecessary hardship. Again, staff cannot find no hardship as defined by the zoning ordinance. Again, with the possibility of an integrated center sign, lawfully being constructed, if the owners choose to do so, that will just expand the signage footprint, legally for this business and for any of the other ones in this integrated center. So it's staff's opinion that the hardship involved is self-imposed or solely based on a perceived reduction of or restriction on economic gain. It's only the petitioner's desire for additional signage that is driving all this. And 5B, the variance sought does not provide only the minimum relief because, again, staff cannot demonstrate a hardship, and that the 40 square foot of signage minimum or requirement is more than sufficient in staff's opinion. So we are recommending denial. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ryan. Petitioner or his or her representative, do you have a presentation and do you have anything that you'd like to share?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Chris Shulman of Goodwine Law, located at 250 Main Street here in Lafayette. Ryan, I do have a presentation with some images, if you let me share.
You're on mute, Ryan.
Rabita, are you able to give control of your screen to Mr. Shellman?
I'll try.
Okay.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, you should be able to share now.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Mhm.
Thank you, Ryan, and staff. Wanted to talk today, McAllister's deli site, formerly the MCL. One of the big things has the MCL, but McAllister's Deli is a lot bigger name. As you know, and Ryan mentioned, the building has just undergone a pretty significant renovation, modernizing the facility, and the facade, is quite appealing. As Brian pointed out, it's located along Sagamore Parkway, and that this tenant, will likely be one of the main drivers for traffic for this strip center, particularly during the peak hours along, lunch and dinner times. It's located along a large commercial corridor on Sagamore Parkway, and the signage being requested is entirely consistent, with that area. But one of the big things to note is that this is the signage actually installed. It may be 32 square feet, but ultimately we would submit that is a reasonable size that maintains legibility given the nature and the length of the sign and the fonts being used. It is not like the signage was maxed out to 40 square feet on the front fascia. There was an attempt to reduce the size while maintaining the effectiveness of it. The proposed sign is similar. It's actually the same size as the front, and it'll be located on that east side. But what's important about that east side is that, as you can see from the next slide, is that all of the access from the east on Sagamore Parkway and the south will need to use that eastern side of the building to identify the location. Visibility was mentioned. I think that's where we would have the biggest dispute with staff at this point. Quite frankly, the building is not visible from the east and the south along Sagamore Parkway. And what's unique about that is that it is along a divided highway in Sagamore, a former highway at least, along Sagamore Parkway. So that means that they can't make a left into that facility. When you want to make a left to go into it from the east, you actually have to enter from Nighthawk Drive. That's significantly farther down the road, and you can't see the front signage from that perspective. It's also important to note that unlike the north side of the road, there's no frontage road, which allows the left turn and a little bit slower speed. So there's no real good way to get there. So there's 2 points that are highlighted by triangles that I have some images that kind of shows you what the public will be seeing as they're coming from this, where to kind of point out, the key point of our request. Access from the east, you'll see you have to come in to basically intersection of Sagamore and Nighthawk, and then go south, and then wrap around back through the middle of the parking lot, and then find that location. As you can see, this would be your angle sitting at Nighthawk and Sagamore. The vehicle is actually facing south, and you can see the building behind the dog and suds. That east side of the building is the only part that's visible from this location. However, this is where the patron would need to make the turn to find that restaurant. You can't see the front fascia. There was some reference to a potential integrated center sign, but as you can see, there's other freestanding signs that are located farther to the west that you can't see from this location. That integrated center sign will really only be useful for access from eastbound traffic heading from the west. If you look to the next slide, you can show the desired location of this other sign. It'd be right on the east side, relatively small, as you can see from the existing installed sign, and would provide visibility from everybody coming from the east. Next, we look at coming how you would actually get to the facility. You'd be entering from Nighthawk Drive, making left on sort of the little internal access road that wraps behind the Copper Moon, the Dog and Suds, goes around and would get to the former MCL and now current McAllister site. This triangle is where you would need to make your next turn. It's important to note that that road isn't a real road. There's no frontage on that, but it effectively serves as a real road. This is where you'd be able to see the east side. Once again, there's no signage denoting that location that you can see from this. And this will be where everybody coming from the east and south will be driving to. This location notes where it actually will be shown. But most importantly, it's consistent with the area. Many other locations, particularly the Talbot Street across the road, Starbucks, Chipotle, Crew Car Wash, all have multiple front signage, for their heavy traffic locations. The Chipotle has a sign that faces the internal road, the same one that we want to access, because that's where a lot of the traffic comes from. You can see it has two that are visible at the same time. Our sign, in almost every circumstance, will not be visible to the traffic at the same time. The Starbucks, located in a different location, but has two sides on each side. Finally, right across the street, although it has a frontage, the Talbots has two, because of the reality that westbound traffic and eastbound traffic can't see the same sign. And the only way to access it is from a part where you need to know where you're going before you get there. So ultimately, the request is there visibility? And we would say that in this location, given the unique nature, as you can come back and see from the corner of Nighthawk and Sagamore, and this is with the trees in the winter, that you can't see the location when you're coming from the east. And given the unique fact that it's a divided highway that only has access, several hundred feet down from the area where you need to turn, that additional signage is needed here. We'd be happy to answer any questions and respectfully request approval of this second sign located at this facility.
Thank you. And at this time, is there anyone else wishing to speak that is either in the meeting room or on the call?
We still have no one in the meeting room, and presently there are no comments on social media.
Okay. If anyone is wishing to make a comment on social media, please do so. And at this time, I'll also take any questions or comments from the board.
Hey, Steve, Gary here.
Yes.
I see Chad is in the meeting here. I didn't know if he had any comments or any opinions from their perspective on this.
Chad
Chad?
Spitznagle, Commissioner. I had a conversation with the mayor today. We do not have any arguments against approval of the petition. Respect your decision on the matter, and we're excited to have McAllister's in the city of West Lafayette.
Very good. Thanks, Chad.
You're welcome.
Any other comments from the board or questions?
The only comment I would say is, as you look at that building, although over time we try to limit signage, it does seem appropriate as those trees get leaves on them. I'm not sure how much you're going to be able to see anyway, but I know sometimes it seems if you don't go there all the time, it's kind of a maze to find your way to your destination the first couple of times anyway. So I personally don't have an issue with it.
I agree that I think probably, especially in the summer when you've got leaves on those trees, I'm not sure that you're going to be able to see the sign from Nighthawk. In order to make sure you turn, you're probably going to end up passing and either do a U-turn or in order to get in. Have we had a minute yet?
Yeah,
Yes.
Steve, there are still no comments on social media.
Okay. Any last chance for comments from the board?
Just an additional thank you to Chris, the graphic that had the multiple entrance points and where for Nighthawk and the internal drive, I think was very helpful to me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
There are no other comments. We have a ballot. And please remember not to close your browser window until after Eric has received all of our ballots. Just a comment on the ballot. I noticed 5B, it says does not with the double asterisk on the does not. But then below it, it says enter does with the double asterisk or does not. So the second place, the double asterisks are in the wrong spot.
Yeah, I agree. So if the folks, even the ones who have filled it out, if you go back and check yours, as he indicated, just to repeat, the 5B is correct in that it says the variance sought does or / does not, with 2 asterisks after does not, provide only the minimum relief needed to alleviate the hardship. That is the correct statement. Then the little clue down below to help you is not helpful because it's wrong. So ignore that second one because it says enter does with double asterisks, which is incorrect. If you desire to use does not, that will be the appropriate one if you're looking to deny that on that basis. So if there are any issues on that, if you go back and look, I've got 5 responses. And so I will check the others as they come in, and then I'll go back and make sure on that. But if you do it yourselves, that would be helpful also.
I don't know if I'm looking at it right here, Steve, but it doesn't seem like on this ballot I have an option to recall the ballot to edit it. Am I missing something?
Yeah, mine doesn't either.
I agree.
Why don't you guys refill it, if you don't mind? If you have you closed the ballot already?
When you hit submit, it just says that your variance ballot has been recorded. It doesn't
Right.
have the ability to
Go back?
to go back. I don't know. You might be able to hit the back button. I don't know if that
Right.
works or not.
That's how you go back. That's
Okay.
correct.
If you
Okay.
hit that, you'll have to
Right.
Hit the
re-enter.
back button on the browser.
Yeah, if you have a window open, you can click back and
How that works.
correct the ballot. So if you don't have the window open, you have to restart. I'm sorry.
I think everyone probably filled it out correctly, but based on Eric can determine if anyone accidentally put the wrong thing there based on that.
And so I think, Ed, I'm not seeing you. There you go. Gotcha. So I have all 7.
Gary here, Eric, I'd say what mine was wrong, and I can issue you a new ballot if you'd like.
I think that's our best bet. Would you agree with that? Is let's just get a new ballot, and apologies for the mistake in the form.
And let's make sure I got the right design team. Okay, I'm submitting a new one and we'll see if it's correct.
Granted. And I am now showing that 8 responses. So I think it's picking up that extra one. We need to make sure that the first one is deleted.
We're stuffing the ballot box.
Yeah, no doubt. We don't need any of that.
Eh, You should be able to easily identify it because it hit a wrong wrong conclusion based on the ballot.
Well, when I hit the
I'm not able.
got it.
So is there a way to delete the first one, Ryan
Yes, there is. Mm-hmm.
or Ravita?
Yes, there is
'Cause
a way
I-
to do it.
But if people are going to be correcting ballots, we understand that the only way to do that is to cast a new ballot. And then if the staff can delete the first one cast, and then before we do voice vote, I'm going to ask everybody to take a look at their ballot and make sure the ballot as it is sitting there, because then there'll only be one per person. I'm going to ask you to confirm that is the correct ballot. So we've got one that has been supplemented, or I guess a reballoting. Is there anybody else that is going to be reballoting?
Oh, Eric, Gary here. I cannot, once I cast my ballot, I cannot see it. It's gone.
Yeah, if you back up on your browser, then you can't see the
Eric,
response.
that's a question for you. Does anyone's answer to 5B disagree with whether they chose granted or denied at the bottom? And perhaps that would be a your review.
Right. So if anybody put does not,
I'm pretty sure I did, but when I hit the back button, my ballot was blank.
right? Mine was
Yeah.
blank too when I,
Mine's
Okay.
also blank.
And for some reason, I am now only able to see Gary's ballot. I've already looked at all ballots except for Michelle and Ed. I had already approved them or looked at them. And now all I can see is Gary's. And I went on the back button. Can Rabita
Yeah,
and
I can see all the
if
remaining
you
ballots.
would look at them,
Sure.
um,
Who do you have?
if you could look at Michelle and Ed and make sure that the double asterisks are appropriate.
Sure, I can do that.
Seems like Rabita's got all the power in those 10 fingers. He can get it all.
I know.
I'm glad somebody can.
Michelle's good.
Okay, thank you.
Ed needs to redo his.
Okay, so he is voting to his vote was ultimately to approve,
Mm-hmm.
correct? And so Ed, you've got one that, is it one or more than one, Rabita, that got the wrong asterisks?
Just one, 5B.
Okay, so 5B, Ed, looks like you got snafu'd by the same problem in the form there. And so are you able to get back to your ballot, Ed?
I
Or
didn't X out of, well, hang on a minute. And it's, no, it's gone.
okay, so let me ask a couple questions on the record. Ed, you've cast a ballot here and your ultimate vote was to grant the variance, is that correct?
That's correct.
And in looking at 5B, there was an incorrect instruction given to you in 5B, which you unfortunately followed. And so my question to you is, would you like Rabita to correct that so that we have the correct answer in 5B? And the correct answer in 5B needs to be does. So the variance sought does
Yeah.
provide only the minimum relief needed to alleviate the hardship. And that, if that is your decision on 5B, then that will allow your vote to approve. Is that what you'd like to do?
Yes.
Rabita, can you make that change and put your initials by it? Or
Sure.
put your initials by it. Listen to me. I think she's got a pen and paper. You know what I mean. Just note the
There'll-
fact that we
Right. There'll be a digital timestamp, so
Great.
don't you worry. I'll make it
Perfect.
happen.
Okay. And so, any other issues, Rabita, that you see with any of the ballots?
They all look good.
Good. All right. And so now that we have received and corrected those necessary, we received the ballots from each of the members. When I call your name, please confirm your vote by saying approve or deny. Steve Clevenger,
Approve.
Gary Schroeder,
Approve.
Michelle Dennis,
Approve.
Ed Butts,
Approve.
Tom Andrew,
Approve.
Frank Donaldson,
Deny.
Jen Decker,
Approved.
6 in favor of approval, 1 against.
Thank you. That variance has been granted.
Thank you.
With that being the last case, unless any member has an objection, the chair will order the findings of each member casting a vote for the majority decision of the board to be the collective findings on the board in support of the decision of the board. Hearing none, it is so ordered. Administrative matters.
We have none.
All right. And I guess I'm glad I caught that ballot issue.
We rely on you for these things, Steve.
Well, because we had a bit of a test run last weekend because we brought in Eric. I think we gave them a little more privileges than we should have. So there was some changes made unknowingly, which is fine. And next time I know I'll only give you limited privileges.
Sounds fair. Sounds very fair.
If not, I'll take the last motion.
I move to adjourn.
We're adjourned. See everybody next month. Thanks, everybody. Thanks,
Thank you.
Eric. Great job.
Thank you.
And Ryan
Yes,
and
well
Rita
done,
as
Eric.
well.
Good job, everyone.
Thanks for your help.